Bloomberg Audio Studios. Podcasts, radio, news.
You're listening to Bloomberg Businessweek with Carol Massar and Tim Stenovec on Bloomberg Radio.
It is time for another edition of the CFO briefing. This week, we are joined by Chris Stansbury, Chief Financial Officer and EVP of the Louisiana-based publicly traded global communication services company, Lumen Technologies. Market cap of about $6.8 billion. Shares so far this year up more than 25%. Also with us here in the studio is Nina Trentmann, Bloomberg News Senior Editor. She writes the CFO Briefing newsletter. You can subscribe to it at bloomberg.com/CFO-briefing. Chris is featured in the most recent edition of the newsletter. Chris joins us from Denver. Chris, welcome. The company divesting non-core assets, for example, earlier this year announcing the sale of its mass market residential fiber unit to AT&T for $5.75 billion in cash. Now, what you're planning to do is leasing existing fiber routes to hyperscalers and social media companies to transport AI traffic between data centers. I want to know, how big of an opportunity is it to lease to these hyperscalers?
Yeah, thanks for having me today. It's been quite a journey at Lumen over the last 3.5 years. And really what we see as an opportunity and have seen really through our transformation is the AI multi-cloud world that's being developed right now. The network of yesterday wasn't built to support it. And if you really think about the economics of AI and the economics of a GPU, you want to keep that GPU fed as much as it can consume so that they're spinning constantly, and that's where you get the economic benefit. So the problem with the network that has existed so far is that as those data loads get spread further and further away, as data centers are in search of power and cooler temperatures, there's latency problems and there's access problems. It takes a long time for networking to adjust. So what we're doing is building a mesh that basically goes anywhere to anywhere, where the customer on demand can move those workloads where they need them in super low latency manner. So that's the big change. And so it's not just hyperscalers, it's really the full connectivity between the hyperscalers running those clouds, the hyperscalers obviously building those AI algorithms, and large enterprise customers who are on the AI journey now and will be using it much more heavily in the future.
Chris, thanks for joining us again. It's great to chat. Just wondering, with the AT&T deal and also what you've done in capital markets in recent weeks, you've really improved your financing structure. You're saving hundreds of millions in interest expenses a year. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, if you go back in time when we all joined Lumen and saw this opportunity, the balance sheet was not our friend. We had a lot of debt. Half that debt was due in 1 year. It was due in 2027. And that was job number one. We really needed to strengthen the foundation of the company so that we could go do the things that we're executing against today. So that was really accomplished through a couple of things. One is we did the largest out-of-court debt restructuring in history. That's not quite 2 years ago. And that allowed us to push those maturities out a bit, but at a significant expense. Our annualized interest expense at that point was about $1.4 billion. But from there, we saw in the middle of those negotiations, we saw this opportunity with the hyperscalers. And soon after that debt negotiation was completed, we signed $8 billion worth of deals, and that has grown since. That allowed us to monetize an asset that has been in the ground for 25 years, which is conduit that we can blow fiber through to meet the needs of the hyperscalers in a fairly short period of time versus building new. And that's really the core enduring advantage of this business. And then we layer the digital on top of that. But the cash from those deals allowed us to refinance and delever. So we've made a number of moves so far this year. And with the sale of the consumer fiber business to AT&T, when that closes, our debt will be down to just over $13 billion, and our interest expense on an annualized basis will be about $700 million. So in a 2-year period, dramatically reshaping both the quantum of debt as well as the maturity curve. And now that balance sheet is a real asset for us as we invest in the AI multi-cloud world.
Yeah, I'm actually wondering about the investments. Of course, there's a lot of capex that's required in a business like yours. We've seen earlier this year the One Big Beautiful Bill Act that was passed, which tries to encourage investment, including in capital investments, by allowing you as CFO to depreciate certain investments faster. Like, do you think this will make an impact as you're thinking about future investments in your business here in the US?
Definitely. If you go back to the 2017 legislation, the big problem with that legislation is it created an unequal playing field between, say, more service-oriented or asset-light companies and asset-heavy or infrastructure companies. And if you look at where the administration is focused today, it's clearly around infrastructure. That's where I think the U.S. has the biggest challenges, really, is making sure that we don't get too far behind with our infrastructure. So the recent legislation has leveled that playing field. And really that was around two things. The first is that there was interest deductibility limits that used to exist that have been relaxed dramatically because, again, asset-heavy infrastructure companies tend to have higher leverage. And then to your point, the ability to accelerate depreciation to help on the tax side is significant. That reduces the risk that companies that are investing in infrastructure take on when they make those kinds of investments. So it's absolutely an opportunity for us.
Chris, going to have to leave it there, but you got to come back and join us once again. And I do remind everybody that Chris is featured in the most recent edition of the CFO Briefing newsletter. You can sign up for it at bloomberg.com/CFO-briefing. We've been speaking with Chris Stansbury, CFO and EVP of Lumen Technologies. Also joining us here in the studio, Nina Trentmann, Bloomberg News senior editor. Sign up for that CFO Briefing newsletter.